New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hey, welcome to another episode of What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. We're here with a new episode in 2026. I'm Miss B Lovely.
And I am Reverend Casey Taylor, and I use they, them pronouns.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us again. We're back in the new year, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Rev Casey Taylor's being real cozy over there in that nice little hat that you got from a little kid. How you be today?
I sure am. That kid isn't so little. 18, but I love when kids give me presents. And, a rainbow hat, I'm here for. I got my rainbows all over. So I love that kid knew and thought of me when they saw this hat. I love that you are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. To be honest, I am chill. I got my cup of tea. I got my Wicked cup. It's got Glinda on one side and Alphaba on the other. I got it for $5 at Aldi. This year has been the first year that I haven't felt this really strong need to go in hard on January 1st. I went on a spiritual retreat at Camp Cedar Ridge. Sometimes I wear my Camp Cedar Ridge hoodie in Vernonia, Oregon. And this retreat, I've heard about it for years. I was excited to go, but it ended up being really, really chill. Now, we mentioned offline that when I travel, I have a tendency to get sick. I got an echo on my end, be lovely. I don't know if you got something going on. But I have a tendency to get sick. And January 1st, like New Year's Eve, midnight, I would say like 2 a.m., I get a tickle in my throat. And so today, my intention for January 1st was like going in my goals, but my body was like, nope, that's not what we're doing. So I was like, okay. So I rested. I enjoyed my time in the woods. I love the woods at Camp Cedar Ridge. And instead of just going in hard, I felt a call to really honor the winter season and to recognize that spring equinox is really the time for us to be kicking into gear. So I got my law of attraction journal. I've barely written anything in it, but I trust and know that I'm going to pick it up when the time is right. That's what I got going on. How you doing, Be Lovely?
Oh, nice.
Your bright eyes and bushy tail come from?
I mean, I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed because I've been up since midnight, since I work overnight. And, I'm up. I had my green and my peppermint tea. I started drinking. I swapped my coffee for herbal tea a few weeks ago. And I'm just really, really loving the vibe of having like a nice, pretty mug. I swapped between like my Mariah Carey mug, my Harry Potter mug, my mug with my initials on it, and having my cup of tea just feels like a nice, warm, gentle hug to like get me into the day. So I guess, all those antioxidants got me all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I'm feeling really, really excited. Like you, I don't do any of my goal setting and planning in January because like you said, like winter is like, the time of like shedding, getting ready for the new season of spring, which is like, rebirth, growth and all that stuff. So like I do my vision boarding, I do like, my goals and stuff when it's a little bit closer to spring, because winter is like the slow down, the relax, to take stock of what's happening, what's happened and listening to your body. But I've just been in a really, really great space. I'm happy because it's award season. It's one of my favorite seasons. I'm a huge TV and film fan. And I'm just really excited to see how this cycle for award season is going up. And also music wise, like it's so much good stuff happening. Like Bruno Mars just announced that his first album in 10 years is going to be coming out in time for Valentine's Day. And he just announced a world tour with Anderson .Paak, Victoria Monet, what's her name? Ray, And it's another artist. I can't remember, but I'm like, that is a solid lineup. And I think I just might see that. But not only that, Jill Scott has an album coming out for Valentine's Day, Ari Lennox, Ella May. So I'm like, even though I've never been a fan of Love Day, I'm looking forward to it because this new music is going to be putting me in all the positive feelings. I'm speaking that into existence. I'm not going to be sad or anything Valentine's Day. I'm going to be happy and vibing to all that new music.
I hear that. And speaking of your feelings, as we've declared that we're going to be using the themes of Mariah's "Here for It All" track list going backwards. This is our theme for today is In Your Feelings. And I don't have a Mariah mug, Miss B Lovely. No whole lot. I've never had a Mariah mug. So hearing that you've been drinking your tea out your Mariah mug, I'm a little jealous. I got some salted caramel. I have all kinds of tea, nutcracker, sweet tea, sugar chloride, ginger spice, and I'll have Nan Mariah mug to drink it out of. I never even saw one. Where'd you get your Mariah mug from? You need
I saw it. I actually saw it online. 2024. It was a Christmas gift. It's not just any Mariah mug. It's a mug with the like CDs back in the 90s when the CDs would come out and like the little side panel.
Yeah.
So it has
Instagram.
Album, the side panel of every single album wrapped around the mug, and I just love it. I'm gonna have to get a new one so I could get Here for It All on the mug.
Yes, I please bring that. Drink your tea on the show next time because I would love to see you sipping from your mug.
Hopefully, I'm going to be sipping in positive spirits next week because I'm not a big football fan, but the family's from Chicago, always been repping the Bears since I was a little kid because of my dad, and they're in the playoffs and they're playing Green Bay this weekend. Always been a big rival team for the Bears, so I already know I'm going to be in my feelings Saturday night watching this Bears game. I'm already in my feelings because I'm not going to be in Chicago watching the Bears game. That's where I really want to be. And you say you're not going to be watching the Bears, and you're from Chicago.
I had no idea they were actually in the playoffs. I just learned this from you just now. Living in Oklahoma got me in a whole little bubble. Ain't nobody in these streets talking about the Bears. I've been noticing our cousin posting about the game, but I didn't know they had made it to the playoffs. I had no idea, especially against the Packers, because growing up, I have family, the white side of my family, a lot of them lived in Wisconsin. And so the way that Packers Bears tension would come through at family gatherings was a really big deal. So I had no idea. This has got to be that family in particular. Like I'm confident that they are in their feelings about this rivalry and how it turns out.
This is a big deal for the Bears because notoriously the Bears have been known for like not being that great during the season, but this is one of the best seasons that they've had in a long time. Like they was actually the number one seed of their division. They did lose to Green Bay the last time that they played Green Bay. So I'm just fingers crossed. Bears, please give me and the rest of Chicago a happy weekend. We are not trying to go into Sunday sad. Okay. We want to be happy in our feelings. So go Bears.
Yes. I love that I grew up in Chicago at a time when the sports teams were killing it. When I was a baby, I think I was like 3 or 4 years old when the Bears won the Super Bowl. And I have a core memory if we had a rotary phone and I used to count in Spanish all the time. And I was constantly like showing off the fact that I can count in Spanish. And one day my mother said to me, you should call so-and-so and show them how well you can count. And so I just sat down on the floor, used this little rotary phone and called somebody during the Super Bowl. No idea in my little 3-4-year-old mind that this was going on. And I was like, hi, I can count in Spanish and just start. And she was like, where is your mother? So like the Super Bowl shuffle was a whole thing. Like, like the Bears bear down Chicago Bears. Like it was a really big deal. And then after the Bears did their whole thing in the 80s, then the Bulls came up in the 90s. Like living in Oklahoma City, the Thunder is a really big deal right now. And I've never been to a Thunder game, but I was like, but I have seen Michael Jordan play in the 90s. So I'm not bending over backwards to see SGA. But honestly, props to the Thunder. I gave them reverence in an earlier episode because they don't just play basketball well. They really do their part to give back to the community in a way that nobody else in the community is really doing. So I really gotta, though I have been to a game, I have a lot of love for the Thunder team.
Shout out to the Thunder, shout out to the Bears. And let's give some shout outs to, some of these. We're gonna get a little bit into the award season stuff. I'm really excited. SAG-AFTRA just announced their nominations for it used to be called the Screen Actors Guild Awards, but now it's being called the Actors Awards. Did you hear about that change?
I missed that. Since I walked away from Hollywood, I've been in my minister lane, and I haven't really been looking over there a lot. So thank you.
I know.
That's learning about the Bears playoffs and this.
I just want to like kind of talk about that a little bit, because when we was like first connecting and everything and like getting to know each other, like in the beginning, everything, like you were like hardcore Hollywood and everything, like you knew everything about like all the popular shows, all the popular movies and stuff. So, like, this is new for me, like a new normal, get used to, oh wow, Ref Casey Taylor isn't, following all of, which I understand because you're in a completely different lane and stuff. Like, do you ever have thoughts of like, missing when you used to be plugged into Hollywood, like the Hollywood life and all that?
I feel like I've shifted from creative. When I was really focused on knowing all there was to know as an aspiring TV executive and then as a working TV executive, that was a requirement. That was baseline. But from a creativity standpoint, what matters more is using my creativity and knowing about the business of Hollywood. Honestly, it doesn't support me creatively. So I really just feels like I took off my business hat and I put it on because to be a creator, I wanted to understand how the business works. And now that I do, I feel like I get to take it off and put on my creativity hat. And that's one of my themes for 2026. I got 3 themes: creativity, alignment, and awareness. And so having that creativity hat firmly on my head means that I don't need to put the business hat back on until it's time. But I'm grateful that I'm moving in flow.
Yeah. I love the creativity side of Hollywood, more specifically when it comes to Black Hollywood. Like, I grew up watching a lot of Black films. John Singleton was my favorite director. I watched every single John Singleton movie with my dad when I was a little kid, and I had no business watching a lot of that. But I just love the storytelling aspect, especially when it comes to like, the historical pieces that are told, not including slavery, because that's like trauma. But I want to, segue into like with award season and everything and all these nominations coming out and everything. There's been quite a lot of talk about one of the most critically acclaimed movies of 2025, Ryan Coogler's Sinners, which is the first original horror movie to I think would cross the $100 million threshold in terms of its what's it called, its profitability. Let me get my tongue right. But I saw that movie multiple times, and I'm not even being biased when I think that it was one of the most visually stunning, creatively told, amazingly acted, amazing cinematography across the board. It was a great story. The way how they was able to weave together not only this horror element of vampires, but the fact that it had the underlying theme of racism as well, and how they was able to tell that story in a way that, invoked a lot of emotions and stuff. And a lot of people, Michael B. Jordan has been the front runner for a lot of the award season circuit, because he received a lot of critical acclaim because he played a set of twins, 2 different characters. And I was listening to his interview that he did with Variety. No, it was with CBS Mornings, and he was talking about how for one of the twins, he walked around with shoes that were too tight so that he could be in like this mean, agitated state and stuff. Like, the way how he really portrayed the role was just really, really great. So everybody thought he was going to be a shoo-in for getting a lot of awards. But as we go into our next segment, Do Better Blues, he actually recently, the Critics' Choice Awards, it was this past Sunday, and he lost Best Male Actor in a Lead to Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lie. I have not seen Marty Supreme. It
Neither
literally
have I.
just came out a few weeks ago. It came out around Christmas. But from what I see, the premise is he's playing this super hardcore ping pong player. I'm not wait, why are you laughing?
Because I mean, it's just such a ridiculous premise of like a hard and like Timothy Chalamet is who I would think of as a hardcore ping pong player. But yeah, I mean, obviously I couldn't hide my emotions on my face. Could not.
I'm not gonna get I've seen Timothy Chalamet in the Wonka movie. I thought that he did a good job in that role. It was very fun, very playful. I have not seen Marty Supreme, so I cannot speak to his abilities in that role. But I do believe, like, I was very hurt hearing that Michael B. Jordan lost, and it brought up the conversation about how in the beginning when Sinners first came out, it wasn't really receiving a lot of positive reception from I don't know what's the right word I want to look for, but I'm just going to give an example. Variety magazine, which is a big entertainment magazine entity, had came out with a post on Twitter when Sinners first came out, saying that the movie has made $61 million, but it's still a long way from profitability for an original piece. So it's basically like a backhanded compliment. And it caused a lot of uproar because people were saying that, especially like Ben Stiller spoke out about it. Tom Cruise went out and spoke out against it, saying how it was what's the word I'm looking for? It was unfair because it's a black led, black directed, black written film. But if it was a white film, it would have received better reception, better headlines now and all that. And some people feel like because it is a black film, it's not getting the just dues that it deserves. And kind of nervous as we go into the award season because I think Michael B. Jordan did a phenomenal job being able to play a set of twins at the same time, having to know how to, stay in character. He said like he had to keep his Southern accent because he doesn't talk with a Southern accent, but he had to keep his Southern accent like all throughout filming, like even when he was offset and everything, just staying in it, and how he was able to really portray those characters where you can really, I didn't see Michael B. Jordan in that role. I saw the men that he was playing, the brothers, and how he was able to just really bring those characters to life to where you really felt like, wow, he just might be a twin. And I'm a big fan of Michael B. Jordan, but I just really want, I feel like Hollywood has a when they hop on, when there's the it person, everybody hops on it. There's an it person. I don't want to say Timothy Chalamet is the it guy, but he has been framed as the it guy, and so it's being looked at like he or Leonardo DiCaprio for One After Another. I started that movie and I fell asleep. I didn't even finish it, but it's looking like they're going to be the front runners, even though their characters haven't been critically acclaimed for the role. Whereas you have someone like Michael B. Jordan who has received a lot of critical acclaim, and it just makes me think about a lot of the bigotry that has been plaguing Hollywood since the beginning, since the golden era of Hollywood, when Black people weren't even, allowed in the space and everything. So I just want to, just implore as we're moving forward in 2026 and stuff to don't base things based off of, who's popular, who, is, oh, everybody's talking about this person. I think, I should be leaning this way, but more so looking at true talent, because Michael B. Jordan blew that role out of the park. I saw that movie multiple times, and each time I'm like just amazed that he had the capacity to be able to bring those two completely different characters to life the way that he did.
To your point, this has been a long from beginning, from day one, history of Hollywood. And I think it's really notable that the way that these waves go is that when Hollywood is attacked, is criticized, when racism is not in style, when inclusivity is in style, Hollywood makes some shifts. Like, as you mentioned, John Singleton. Has John Singleton ever won an Oscar?
He was nominated for Boys in the Hood and lost.
I'm thinking about The Color Purple, which was a Steven Spielberg movie that was nominated across the board, and it lost to Out of Africa in each and every one of those categories. And as we are in 2025, 2026, what movie do people remember more clearly? Color Purple,
Center.
or Out of Africa. So there's been this really long history of Black folks not getting their credit. And then when Oscars So White, hashtag Oscars So White happens, there's this rush of like, oh, Black person's never ever won a lead as an Oscar before. So we're just going to give it to Denzel for Training Day, even though of all of Denzel's performances, Training Day is not the one that is the most Oscar worthy. We're going to give it to Halle Berry for Monsters Ball, even though out of all of Halle Berry's performances, Monster Ball is not, again, one of those movies that does anybody even remember that? Who even saw it at the time of, other than Hollywood people? And now we're in this phase where racism is back in style, and Hollywood is doing what it did before. When inclusivity falls out of the public favor, we get back into these habits. So what I'm going to do, what all I can do is I can give reverence. So I'm going to switch our segment to It's Giving Reverence, and give reverence to Michael B. Jordan, who I came across Michael B. Jordan when we were both children. He played Erica Kane's adopted son on All My Children. And I was at school. I was a child at school, and I was recording it on my VCR. And me and my friends would play All My Children after school. So Michael B. Jordan, his career was somebody that I've been paying it, like he was a kid, I was a kid. He was a terrible actor as a child. And so whatever, it was All My Children. Like everybody on there was pretty terrible. And so really witnessing his climb, over time, his dedication to the craft, like, a child character on All My Children versus the trajectory that he went through. There's been lots of soap characters that don't make it past that soap world. And it's really his dedication to the craft is really demonstrated here. And I also want to give reverence to Ryan Coogler, who is one of those people that really moved outside of the grain of Hollywood. And it was a really big deal for him to be selected as the director of
Black Panther.
Yeah, it was a really big deal. And he did an incredible job with it. And what he did with Black Panther set up the opportunity for him to make this movie Sinners, for him to make this original horror movie. And I didn't know what you said about the profitability. I thought it would have been like a Jordan Peele movie. I'm thinking about after Get Out. I know that was a really big deal, but Us made a whole bunch of money. And to your point, Hollywood critics do things like have these headlines like surprise hit. And it's like, if Get Out did so well, why would anybody be surprised that Us did better than Get Out? So I'm grateful that I have a platform and an opportunity to give reverence to these men.
I am too. And I was actually wrong. Sinners made $368 million worldwide. And that is amazing for an original film. And I was actually thinking before the show started, I think Ryan Coogler is the John Singleton of this generation when it comes to Black directors, because he really focuses on Black storytelling, which is what John Singleton did. And he's always looking for stories, to educate us and to uplift the Black community and truly tell the parts of the stories that doesn't usually get a lot of attention.
Yes, for sure. I just wanted to give Wayne Baldwin a shout out for his message to spread joy in 2026. And would love for us to transition to our final segment for today, the Making Peace with Your Inner Shit Talker. This is a 90-day program that I've created. I have every intention to publish this in the third quarter of 2026. So look out for news about that. And I move through this 90-day program myself. I lead a group through it, and I move through it on my own. And the intention behind it is for it to be intuitively led. So I started a group in April. I didn't get through all 90 days of content in April. I got through maybe, I think, 35 or so days. I took a break, and we started our next group in November. And I've been rocking and rolling the way that I've been doing my practice pretty much every day. And I'm on the this section that's called Be Present with That Shit. It's about staying present. And so the reflection question that I'm on is, what percentage of your day is spent in the present moment? And I'm gonna pose that to you, Be Lovely. What percentage of your day would you say is spent in the present moment?
When I'm not working, I feel like a good 30-40% is spent in the present moment, because I'm able to like do my morning meditation, do some yoga, go on a walk in nature, which I really enjoy. When I'm working, I would say maybe 10%, which is really sad, and I need to improve that.
I mean, it's about awareness. The whole purpose is not to let your inner shit talker tell you how much time you should or shouldn't be spending in the present moment.
Mhm.
And this one really came out of the rewrite, because the purpose of making peace with your inner shit talker is about staying present. It's not about criticizing yourself for the decisions that you made back then, or worrying about what happens next. And in my process of writing the program, staying present has really been the quality that's helped me ground me in it. So I wrote this in 2022. Here we are 4 years later. So my percentage is more like 80% at this point in my life. But when I started writing the program, my stats looked a lot like yours. So this is just what 4 years of awareness of how much I'm focused on the past or worrying about the future, and making peace with my inner shit talker around that level of awareness to guide me back to staying present, where now it almost feels like second nature.
I like that. And that's gonna be something I'm gonna try to work on, like focusing a little bit more on like, how can I stay present, but also being kind and gentle with myself, and not having my foot on my neck for when I cannot be present. Because I do tend to like I say, put my foot on my neck and be hard on myself. And I've gotten a lot better with that, especially with closing out 2025. So we're gonna clap for that.
Yes, we are. And as we're coming up to the end of our show, I'm gonna ask you, if just asking now, not in this moment, whether you want to pray out or whether you want me to pray out, and invite you, because you always got some gems at the end of the show. We should call it a segment of Be Lovely's closing gems. Make that a thing in 2026, because you always got some.
Maybe Be Lovely's sweet notes.
Ooh.
I love when you pray, so I'm gonna allow you to pray out. I want to just end by doubling down and just giving all of the flowers, all of the kudos to thank you, Wayne, first of all, for tuning in and for all of your lovely comments. But giving kudos and congrats to Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, one of my faves, Delroy Lindo, who isn't really getting enough recognition for his role because he was hilarious in Sinners, but everybody who helped to bring Sinners to the big screen, not just the actors, but also the production staff, wardrobe, the writers, the producers, all of that. Because what a lot of people don't realize is there's a humongous team that's behind the scenes that makes these projects come to life. So congratulations to everybody. Congratulations to, all of the recognition that this film is getting. And I just really hope that in 2026 that these conversations continue to flow. We're going to be ending racism in entertainment one day at a time.
One day at a time. I'm here for it. It's a perfect quality for us to close out in prayer. So I invite us all, wherever we are, whether we are watching this live or after the fact, to trust and know that we are all exactly where we are meant to be, doing exactly what we are meant to do. And I am grateful that we've been guided to come together to start the new year and recognizing that every challenge is an invitation to remember that God is in charge, that whatever it is that ours to do, whether it is to co-host a series, whether it is to send our comments blessing mankind as part of participating in the show, knowing and trusting that our own understanding of the divine gives us the wisdom that we need to live 2026 to the fullest. So I'm grateful for this new year. I'm grateful for all that manifests in this new year. Grateful to trust and know that racism in Hollywood is being addressed and healed through experiences like this. And I'm grateful that Spirit is bigger than all of it. Spirit has the power to inspire each one of us to heal internalize racism and really co-create a world that works for everyone. So I'm grateful for our decision to be here and participate in that. And I'm grateful for the shift that takes place in 2026 and in our lives as a result of it. And in gratitude, I invite us to close this prayer however we're most comfortable. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
Amen. I always love when you pray out. You do the best prayers. Well, this has been another episode of What's Up and Why. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Remember to follow us online. You can find us on Instagram at WUW show, WUAW show, and on YouTube, What's Up and Why show. This has been another great week. I am Miss Be Lovely. Go Bears.
And I'm Rev Casey Taylor. Have the best week ever.